Okay, so it seems like Twitch has been caught lying and been caught lying to a couple of VTubers, and obviously this is to do with the whole Twitch bot detection system. We've talked about this quite a bit over on this channel. Essentially, if you don't know, a couple of weeks ago, Twitch rolled out an update where essentially it was supposed to obviously capture a lot more of the bots and remove them from view counts to essentially provide a more transparent look at how many people are actually watching people's streams and everything like that. Now, obviously, it sounds good on paper. Twitch has had a really bad issue with bots and people doing this kind of stuff, and we did see a lot of, big kind of streamers dropping in viewership. But obviously, then we also found the fact that this AI system that they were, using to detect these bots was also detecting a lot of different people as well, including lurkers and actual real people. And so they would not count as a view on a streamer's stream. And this was a really big issue for a lot of smaller VTubers out there, because obviously, they tried to do some experiments with their friends. They had their friend watch the stream and they wouldn't be counted because they were lurking. And obviously people called this out, including Neko Unix, who called this out and essentially, talked about it on their situation, saying, they had some information from some people at Twitch. I don't know whether that's true or not, but essentially, yeah, they're saying lurkers will be flagged as bots. They prioritize gift subs to actual contributing members so that they, people sub more, and also stuff like real lurkers get flagged. Bots get through. And obviously Dan Clancy, the CEO of Twitch, actually responded to this saying, Neko Unix, I just wanted to respond quickly. Don't know who you talk to, but this simply is not true. We do not flag lurkers as bots, and the statement about subscriptions is also emphatically not true. Again, not sure where you heard this, but this is not how the system works. Is that okay? Well, this is the CEO of Twitch telling us this, right? Well, it seems like today there's been even more coming out. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. So let's just read this first. They say, Dan Clancy, we've seen a couple of comments of how our systems detect inauthentic views that aren't accurate, so I wanted to clarify a few things. As I said in my original post, it is important to understand that the technology we use to detect invalid traffic for ads is separate from what we use for computing ACCV. Viewbots are just one form of invalid traffic. Advertisers are not changed for invalid impressions, and creators do not get paid out for any of these impressions. Now you may ask, why are there two systems? The reason is that it's hard to detect view bots in real time. There are a number of different signals that we can use after the fact to detect invalid traffic for advertising that are harder to use for real-time detection. As we filter out bots in real time, we need to be sure that we're not filtering out real viewers. In fact, the viewbot detection tools we just rolled out went through a lot of edits. In an earlier version, as we dug deeper, we found the tool was being overly aggressive and not counting valid traffic from various sources. So we worked to narrow the scope of the change. As we have said, we are rolling out the update gradually right now so that we can monitor it and make sure there are not any issues or mistakes. So bro just lied. Bro literally just lied to this person here, this VTuber here, saying we do not flag lurkers as bots, and saying it's emphatically not true, right? And then he goes on to say, well, maybe there's a couple of issues with the bot. And obviously this person here, Honeymango, says, the CEO of Twitch himself admitting their new anti-viewbot rollout was overly aggressive and did indeed mess with actual viewer ratios. They are still actively updating and working through it. Honestly, shame on every single one of you larger streamers who tried to discredit, invalidate, and call their fear-mongering when people came forwards and posted their experiences, which is 100% true. There were tons of people attacking many streamers, VTubers and whatever, essentially, saying that they were having these issues, and they're like, oh, well, maybe that's because you were botting, maybe it's because of this, maybe it's because of that. No, that is not the case. It was because of a genuine issue with the bot, and they messed up big time. They said instead of invalidating smaller creators, the time should have been spent lifting each other up to help hopefully offset the difference that's happening on the site. Everyone started from something, and it's so discouraging seeing creators I had seen in a good light have such a negative reaction to people coming forwards when this initially rolled out. Absolutely reevaluate yourselves. And yeah, obviously 100% true. People have been going out to people saying, well, no, the CEO said that, there is no issues or anything like that. And it's like, and then he later on came out and said there was issues with it, which is crazy, We said it went from 50 to 30, I said that's honestly awful. I said gone down from 13 to 8 ever since this happened. Even had a friend who went down from 10 to 6, it feels so bad. So I understand your feeling, honestly. So it went from 5 to 7 to 1 to 3. They're saying the system is flawed indeed. Recently had a disconnection of a few seconds, and my viewer count immediately went down from 29 to 30 to 8. and it never recovered for the rest of the stream. My viewers were all still there. I said, absolutely. I said, I'm tired. I said, yeah, my CCV roughly was dancing between 9 and 12, and then it dropped to 4 and 6. I was like, damn. I knew I had a lot of lurkers, but geez, even got raided, and they just happened to be lurkers most of the time, and dropped like they never existed. And obviously, yeah, saying hi, the tweet is not new. It comes from August 1st. The only way to detect lurkers in your chat is that they can comment or redeem channel points and are used every certain time, every 30 minutes or every hour. I said, as I said before, I hadn't seen this tweet until I posted about it. Regardless, lurkers should not be allowed to lurk quietly and do not redeem anything to be considered bots. So yeah, apparently this tweet has been out for at least a month now, and this is, yeah, August 1st it came out. This came out August 3rd, and he said it's simply not true, despite him obviously, you know, writing this at the same time as well. Which I think is very, very interesting, like how he can say that on August 3rd, 1st, and then upload this on August 3rd saying it's untrue. It just makes it seem worse. Even, you know, it doesn't matter whether this tweet was, you know, uploaded yesterday or was uploaded a couple days before he released this reply. Either way, it makes himself look really, really bad, because he's acknowledged there was a problem before on August 1st and then said there's no problem on August 3rd. You know, you clearly, you know, obviously addressed it in the first half. Why didn't you address it in the second half? I don't know. But it's saying, if you're experiencing a fluctuation in viewers, Clancy himself stated that the iterations of the new bot detection were in fact too harsh in discounting real people. They're still updating the systems to this day. Only bringing this up because so many people were telling others they were flat out dumb for being concerned, and it was just fear mongering. But it's a completely different ballgame when Twitch itself admits it work on their back end. I applaud the transparency and honesty and hope it continues so we can know exactly how things are counted and hopefully views return back to normal for anyone who is indeed affected. Analyzing updates and valid discourse is completely different from inciting panic. Please remember this is a community, which is 100% true as well. And I think it is a very interesting topic that's been going on. You know, we're saying, as frustrating as this is, I appreciate Dan Clancy for transparency, even with the issues. I think he's the best thing to happen to Twitch in a while. Again, I wouldn't entirely agree with that. I feel like Dan Clancy isn't the best thing to happen to Twitch. I mean, he's made some good updates and he's been very transparent with how they're going forwards. But at the same time, there's been many terrible kind of decisions that have gone forwards as well. I mean, we saw the whole Twitch saga that happened over the past couple of years. It hasn't been great. You know, say, oh, I agree. That's why I made a point to say so in my post. I'm more pointing out the people dogpiling on others in the community more than anything. So again, obviously, this isn't a post, you know, directed at Dan Clancy. It's more so directed at the people trying to, you know, go after other people for, you know, saying that they were down on views, which obviously, yeah, is terrible. You're saying, you know, I went from 10 average to 1. I went from 8 to 9 to 2 to 3. You know, a couple bigger people implied I was stupid and needed my handheld for believing in everything online when I said I was just going to wait for proof of this. At least now I know that a few of my streams of like 0 wild people were there wasn't a thing. And they said, I'm sorry you were talked to like that. That's really uncalled for. I saw a few and won't mention be absolutely brutal about these issues and unfollowed them immediately. It's just unnecessary IMO. And there has to be a line drawn between opinion and just outright being rude. And yeah, we saw this happen with many other VTubers as well. For example, like Kitsu and Rosie. Obviously, they were also being kind of attacked by Twitter users saying like, oh, well, you're not getting any views because nobody watches you anymore, or no, you know, or your streams aren't fun enough, or something like that. You know, essentially trying to deflect things and saying that it's not Twitch's fault, it's their fault, which obviously wasn't the case. And, you know, it's been even proven now with this tweet from Dan Clancy clarifying that, you know, the system is still updating, the system is still going on, and there is still a big issue with determining who is a real viewer and who is a bot. And obviously, I don't think it will ever have an 100% kind of accuracy until they can figure something completely different out. I feel like there's always going to be a chance of some lurkers being taken out, which obviously is very disappointing. And, you know, it's just, yeah, one of these things that happens, and it just sucks. You know, obviously Twitch has completely killed a lot of their viewership. Recently they came out with some numbers about viewership, and I think it's the lowest they've ever been in terms of live streaming, and obviously that is due to a lot of the bots disappearing. They, you know, it's kind of expected to have that kind of drop, but at the same time I think that this very obvious kind of, I don't know how to describe it, it's like very misleading, because obviously Dan Clancy is telling these VTubers one thing, but then also posting something on their account which is a completely other thing, saying there is not an issue to a lot of the VTubers out there, and then saying, oh, well, no, there is an issue to other people. I think it's so weird. And yeah, especially if that tweet did come out on August 1st rather than recently, I definitely do think that is an interesting kind of thing to consider. They are not big enough to notice, but I hope it does get fixed ASAP. So Twitch should just be honest and upfront about how they're dealing with viewbots, since many streamers are already concerned with how it's going to affect them. I said, I knew this was happening because I would be talking in someone's stream I mod for, and I checked their viewer list, and I wouldn't be in the viewer list. And I was like, what the hell? I promise I'm not a bot. Which, yeah, a lot of people are speaking out about this, and a lot of VTubers are speaking out about this. So again, it's going to be interesting to see how this continues. And obviously people saying I was ignored and I was told I was being unreasonable. There's many people with many stories like this. So again, obviously it feels like they have that bit of proof now to say, hey, you were wrong. It wasn't me. It was Twitch. And obviously, yeah, that is pretty much a conclusion to this. But at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that there still is a problem with the anti-viewbot system, which is going on. There are still problems with it. They're still kind of trying to fix it. So again, are they going to get rid of it completely? Probably not. But hopefully they do get it to a point where it doesn't affect all of these VTubers so massively, because it has had a big effect on many VTubers and also just many streamers in general. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty interesting development on this situation. And yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to Game Subs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they got a ton of really cool stuff over there. I definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.